emotional barriers holding you back to your success? Anyone watching this? And if you have, keep watching this live, because I am here today with Kelly McCooeye, who is called the Emotions Coach. And it is amazing that you are here today, Kelly. I'm going to just tell people a bit about who you are before we get started. So Kelly helps women break through those barriers that are holding them back and reaching their full potential. Her mission is to empower women to reconnect with themselves, overcome limiting beliefs, and align their lives with their true purpose. I think that is about every single woman on the planet post 30, if not before. And the system she uses is like so effective. I put it in my post. We need to like gulp it down because it is awesome. So whether you're struggling with a lack of clarity in your business, or you're feeling stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, which I find so many people are these days when I speak to them, Kelly brings not only her expertise, but genuine passion for helping women like you and me, and guys, I'm sure as well, if guys are watching this, don't want to be sexist or anything, but a real passion for helping people transform their lives from the inside out. And actually, I forgot to say at the beginning, her coaching business is interestingly called The Rewired Life, which I love the idea of that. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. It's Friday morning for you. It's Friday evening for me. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Now I want to jump straight into the questions. So if that's okay. And
yep,
I would, the first one I wanted to ask was like, just to sort of set the landscape of what we're talking about here, is to give me some examples of like, what are emotional barriers? Like, what are they really? And what do you see when you're dealing with lots of coaches and entrepreneurs? And how do those barriers, I mean, lots of people talk about these emotional barriers, and I'm like really visual, so I'm like they're sort of there. But you know, how does it manifest in different people's lives?
I think it shows, well, it shows in everything, but it shows in, I don't want to look stupid. I'm scared to be on camera. I don't want to be salesy. What if they judge me? I don't want to make too much money because rich people are bad. It's in our beliefs are in everything we do, because what we believe is what forms our thoughts and creates our emotions. So it's literally everything in our lives.
Yeah. And those beliefs, and it's funny, I mean, we'll get on to it, but as you say, those beliefs shape how you take action every day, right? So if you believe that, and I would pick up on this one, but if you believe that like salesy is nasty and is bad and making money is bad, or then that really is what's going to sort of manifest in your brains, in your emotions, in your life, right?
Yeah, and it's so interesting. There are beliefs from my childhood that I've worked really hard to get rid of. But every once in a while, as I'm pushing myself to grow and meet new goals, I'll trip on an old belief. I'm like, how is that even still there? Because mentally, what I'm thinking is the complete opposite. But those beliefs are so deep from our childhood that we often don't realize they're there and operating and changing the direction of what we actually do.
And actually, one of the things we spoke about this before when we talked, and I think, you know, that I think one of the most common limiting beliefs that I've seen in myself, I've seen in client, I always talk about like virtually every, especially female, but also guys as well, like that limiting belief of I'm not good enough, how that manifests is like the most common one I come across all the time. And maybe that's because it's on my mind, and and as you say, I dealt with it like years ago, and it still pops up now and then when I least expect it. What are sort of, you know, how does that sort of show up? I mean, give me some examples, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Okay. When you set goals, I'll talk about this more later, but you are pushing yourself to become a new, like the person that achieves that goal. So, or when life gives you challenges, you're constantly pushing yourself. So we're dynamic people. We're not static. We're not like, okay, I fixed one thing and now it's never going to be a problem again. We respond to new situations all the time. So I was actually doing some mind shifting this morning, and I was thinking about you because what came up was I'm not good enough. I'm like, dang it. I'm like, okay, what does that feel like? I'm like, it feels like this heavy weight on my shoulders and my head just pushing me down. And I said, okay, what would it feel like if I was good enough? And I'm just like, oh, just unfettered joy. That word, unfettered, like not held down, not held back by the expectations. I'm like, what does I'm not good enough mean? Where is that coming from? And the fear of rejection. What if they think I'm not good enough, they'll reject me. And those needs, those really basic human needs of acceptance and status and being safe and community, those are what drive everything in human beings. So when we feel like that's going to be threatened, we'll do whatever we need to do to avoid that.
Protect it.
Yeah, even though what we're doing is actually the opposite. It's going to get us the opposite of what we want.
Yeah. And it's funny how it it's funny how, where do those beliefs come from, and like when I mean, I give you an example, so we're not talking about me through the whole conversation. Don't want to be talking about me through the whole conversation. Is I've worked with many very senior people and who are achieving amazing things, right? They're achieving amazing things, and they've hired me to help them sort of get to that next level, and sort of going through all, and they don't come from a background which is bad. They probably come from a supportive background. They've had good things happen to them in their lives, but somewhere along the line, that pattern hasn't sort of come out, that for some reason they're not good enough. And it's like, where does that come from in the world? And is that just a human trait, or is that some?
I don't know. I mean, it's like a pandemic, like it's everywhere. We've all gotten into this belief that we're not good enough. Where did that come from? I know it pisses me off every day. This I'm not good enough thing. Yeah.
And I actually think I've gone sort of through waves of it. And I have kind of worked my own stuff out. I've had years to do it, in where it comes from me. But why is it so present in the world, and this kind of, I feel like it's that kind of nature or nurture thing, and I feel like there must be human traits to pick up on the negative experiences, and that sort of runs the patterns, and you get to the. I mean, I'd be literally there stood with a client going, look, you've done you've done this, you've got to this level, you're like the 1% in the world at this financial level, and that's what comes up. I just don't think I'm good enough. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah. But that's such a perfect example of how our beliefs operate, even though we don't realize on the surface what's going on. They're just, they're subconscious, and we just, until we actively go to work on them, we don't even notice that they're there.
So if, and before we get into how to deal with it, what happens if you don't, right? And I ask this question because I feel like that the longer your life goes on and the longer you don't deal with it, it kind of becomes more and more key, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
From your perspective, when you've been working with lots of people in different areas in business and in their own personal lives, what are the costs of actually not addressing this deep down belief, or not? Maybe it's another belief, but whatever it is.
I mean, that's like a question that's a world over, but to make it more specific, 50 to 60% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. If they changed what was going on in their minds, that wouldn't be happening. It literally is costing them money and businesses because of the beliefs. Because who was it that said, if you can conceive it, if your mind can conceive it and believe it, you can do it.
You can see it in your heart.
Yeah, like our minds are incredible, like nothing else on the planet. So if we can get there in our minds, we can do it. But because of those beliefs that are formed when we're children, literally when we're 3, 5 years old, in our very childish understanding of the world and the people around us, we're making these beliefs. We carry those childish beliefs through our lives. And if we never change them, we're still operating on that 3-year-old understanding of the world when we're 60. We're still thinking, he made me feel this way, or this happened, and so then I'm forced to do this. But we never stop to think, I could change this.
Yeah.
This is my life. I can take the power back, stop giving it away to everyone else, and decide this is what I want. Yeah.
I'm like, when I started this conversation, it's like end of Friday, and I'm kind of like cool, and I'm just now I'm like I'm so excited because it's fascinating what you said about 60% of businesses fail in the first 5 years, and that is mindset. Because I'm sure, like, if you ask the British government or the Canadian or whoever's government, they'd be like, it's down to interest rates, or it's training, or it's it's marketing, or whatever. But actually it really comes down to mindset, and if that is the key, then really that's the first place to start, right? Make sure the patterns that you're running are going to support your business goals, your life goals, whatever. Now you mentioned this amazing process that you have, which is called mind shifting, which I love that name, because I love I think there's so many different tools and things in the world that that can help you be more confident and more this and more that, but actually being able to logically thinking, I've got these patterns running in my head, and if they don't support my goals, then I'm never going to reach them. The idea of being able to shift it fills me with like joy.
Right? Because it lets you take your power back.
Because it lets you take your power back. So what is it? What is mind shifting?
Okay. Mind shifting was developed by a guy named Stevie Kent in the UK. And after thousands of hours of experimentation and his research, he developed these 6 modalities: problem shifting, blockage, trauma, reality shifting, belief shifting. What am I missing? I don't know. It'll come to me.
I wasn't even counting, so you're good.
What it does, in my experience, is it's a series of questions that I just lead someone through on a loop. And the first few questions bring the subconscious emotions up to the consciousness so they can be released. So you feel them and just release them. And then the following questions are about possibilities. What would it feel like if this wasn't a problem? Who am I being when I'm not being the scared person? And you go back and forth between bringing the emotions up from the subconscious and then flipping into to possibility thinking, and it rewires your brain to think in possibilities instead of being stuck in the old way of thinking.
So it's like a
Fascinating.
set of questions that
Yeah.
because I mean, I've sort of tried and tested loads of different stuff,
Yeah.
and including whacking me over the head, knocking me out, and reprogramming my brain. I think I should have tried that. But actually, the mind shifting is done by a series of questions that help shift how the brain
Yeah.
stores that, plays that out, I guess.
Yeah. Which is hilarious to me because I have often called myself the queen of questions, and that I stumbled onto this mind shifting thing where it's all about asking questions. I'm like, well, yeah, of course. Love
It's
questions.
funny how that happened, but actually it is and I know I've had I've sort of been through the sequence with you, and it really is a sequence of asking those questions that start shifting the beliefs and thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to the simplicity of that, which is what I love about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Your thinking, what you're thinking affects how you take action, and the action you take will depend on whether your business is successful or whether you can get your business up to the next level, or and it really does come down to what's going through your head every single day when you're operating your business or your life, depending on what your goals are. And by using this mind shifting sequence of questions, you can start dictating where your brain's going, I guess.
Yeah.
Is how I explain it in non-technical.
And it's our bodies store our emotions for us. So when we feel an emotion, we often in the moment we can't process it because we're doing other things. But the reality is that most of us don't actually know how to process emotion. So our bodies store it for us until we can come back and just process it, which doesn't actually take much time. We just have to actually feel it. But because we don't know how to feel our own emotions, we distract ourselves from it. We cope with them. We stuff them down and avoid them. We react to them we go to smash rooms to react to, but none of it is actually just feeling the emotion.
Yeah.
So our bodies store them for us, and it just builds up like sludge in our bodies, all this stored emotion. And as we get older, our bodies just break down because of all of the sludge of emotion that's built up in our bodies because we never actually process it.
I had this conversation once with a friend of mine about the sort of metaphor that she used was like, it's like you're flying a plane and you're coming into land, and when you land, that's when you're going to deal with all your emotion. That's the time you've put it all, it's all going on. You're too busy. You come into land, and then you see what's there, and you're like, nope. And you kind of the aeroplane takes off again, and you never connect with that emotion. And
we do crazy things to avoid actually feeling it. And when you stop and do it, it's a vibration in your body. And you stop and go, what am I actually feeling? Oh, there's like a tenseness down the front of my body.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? Well, it's kind of like sharp in this place, and it's like a vibration. And what is it called? It's the fear of rejection. Okay. And then by that time, it's just done. It might come back later because, again, we're static people and we feel emotions all the time. It's not like you're just stopping yourself from ever feeling an emotion again. But when you stop and feel it, then your body doesn't have to carry it for you. And you don't have to spend all this energy avoiding feeling this vibration in your body.
It's like resistance, isn't it? You're trying to resist feeling it. And actually, and having had, times in my life where I've had extreme pressure and stress, and I totally relate to what you're describing too. And you actually, it's exhausting resisting it.
Exactly.
You're exhausted, brain, emotionally drained, when actually all you need to do is sit down and feel the emotion. And then that sequence of questions that you have in the mind shifting, it like shifts that, and you change. Yeah, it's all it's so, what I love about it, it's so simple, but
Yeah.
it's so powerful, right?
It's so powerful in a really real sense. So when you aren't afraid of failing because you know how to process the feeling of failure, and you know that it's just an emotion that you can process and let go, then you don't have to stop yourself from failing over and over again until you succeed. And that's how humans learn. So you don't have to stop yourself from learning, which means that you will get to success. You'll get to whatever you're doing if you're willing to fail enough to learn how to do it. Just like a baby learns how to walk by falling and getting up again. So when you can really get a handle on how to process your own emotion and stop being afraid of feeling your own emotion, you can do anything.
That sounds so cool. I'm just like, wow. No, but it's so simple, and
Yeah.
but it, like, logically, it makes so much sense to me. It makes so much sense, and you
Yeah.
know, when you think about the world is you know, drinking wine, smoking cigarettes, taking drugs, you know, doing crazy things all the time, and really what they're doing is trying to have fun, for sure,
Yeah,
but
sure.
also so at some levels it's just trying to get away from exactly what
Yeah.
you're describing. So once you are willing to kind of go, you know, feel those emotions and go through those sequence of questions, then it kind of takes all the fear away, like you say.
Yeah. And one of the things that I just love about mind shifting is that it doesn't take years of slogging through
Yeah.
talking about these deep emotions, and you don't have to go, oh, my dad did this, and my, you know, it's like
Yeah.
you just feel it and let it go, and then you think in possibilities. And
Mm.
it's so easy and it's so fascinating. It just goes way deep really fast.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's why I relate to it. I always tell the story of when I was in my early 20s and I fell off a mental, emotional cliff, for a number of reasons at the time. And I remember I had to go in and speak to, like, you know, psychiatrists, all that stuff. And they would say, how do you feel? I would be like, shit, I feel awful. You know, I feel, and I think that's why I'm very attracted to what
Yeah.
you've got, because I think it's incredibly powerful without having to deal with all the stuff that actually you don't necessarily want to bring all that back up. So
Yeah.
just from your experience, and I mean, it's the amazing mind shifting process. Just would you mind sharing with us some sort of examples of the results that people have, what you've seen, the sort of power of this technique?
What comes to my mind first is in my own life, my friends keep saying, it's so cool the way that you're not afraid to pivot and just keep trying. Where I've come from, I've been through some hard stuff where my life was just, it was very small and very insulated, and got to a place where I knew that if I stayed where I was doing what I was, if my physical health didn't kill me, my mental health would. And that journey from here to now, I keep trying and doing and trying new things. And the growth in who I am today, even from a year ago, I'm just not the same person. And I've had people tell me over and over again recently, you have changed so much in the last year. It's just amazing. I've seen it in one person that I was working with, and she said, I feel like I'm seeing things more clearly than I ever did. Others are like, the purpose, the thing that I've been trying to figure out, it's just like, it doesn't have to be this hard, painful thing. It's just there. And yeah, it's so varied, like depending on who, like where they're coming from. But it's like opening the doors so they can see where they want to go and why they want to go there, instead of that constant, no, I can't go there. No, I like just dismissing ideas and solutions and opportunities because no, I can't do that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it, everything about it. And just because we're coming to the end of our time now, and the question I always like to ask people is, in terms of offers and switching focus here, what is the best thing? I always like to ask people this: what is the best offer that you've ever bought, invested in, had? What is that for you?
Mind shifting, learning mind shifting, hands down, awesome. Easy. Yeah.
obvious answer.
Completely life-changing. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for spending some time today. I'm really inspired to find out much more about what it is you do. But for people watching this, how do they find you? Where do they go? What do they have to do to get in touch with you?
My website is therewiredlife.com. Yep. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is Rewired Life Coach, and Facebook is just my name, Kelly E. McCooeye.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, if you're watching this and you need to shift some stuff, I think if not everyone, 99.9% of everyone needs to check out Kelly's stuff, because it truly is amazing. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with us what you've got. It is truly a gift. So I will look forward to speaking with you again